Bonjour tout le monde! I first moved abroad to France for the very first time in 2009. I was an expat who came to work on a fixed contract, so the end date was very clear for me. My time in France would be limited. So I'd cram in as much as I could into those 7 months abroad in terms of culture and language and living the French life. But then I knew the day I arrived that I'd have to pack up my things, thank France for the experience, and be back on my way to life in the US. And in a way that was freeing, to know that I had that set period of time to live abroad. And I was fully ready to take advantage of everything in front of me. And I took comfort in the fact that my time here was limited and that I would go back to my regular life in the US, of course, not knowing what was to come. But my time here was 100% mine. It was meant to be short-lived, and I was ready to soak up every minute, and I did. And then life took hold and my plans changed. It was time for round 2 of my life abroad several years later. After I met my French husband Tom, we got married, and I officially moved back to France for the long haul in 2012. We don't live in a major city. We don't live this sparkly jet-setter lifestyle. Where we live is probably a lot like where you live in a lot of ways. We just live regular life, right? And that's what I want to talk about here. There comes a point when living abroad just becomes living. And that's what I'm going to get into in this video. Life in France is life after a while. So now my time in France, it doesn't have a defined end date. We bought a house, we both work, we had a dog. My sweet dog Dagny, just an aside, she passed away a few days ago here in early March, and that is all I can say about that right now without losing it. You can have a look at the announcement on my community tab for more info about that and about her, and I just want to express a heartfelt thank you to everyone who took a minute out of your day to leave a message of support. Your help, your support is helping us carry that grief. And it's been so hard because she passed away 5 months after my mom died and meant everything to us. So that's all I want to say about that for now. But let's move on. And yeah, at some point over the years, I don't know when, living abroad became my new normal. France is normal. And it kind of snuck up on me in the quiet moments when I wasn't paying attention. I didn't even realize just how much I was adapting to that French way of life. I do speak the language. I do everyday things that you do too, like running errands, working out, cleaning, paying the bills. Sometimes we go on vacation, but my regular life has a routine and a rhythm. And I personally cling to that rhythm and routine, even more so when things get difficult, like they've been lately for us. And the first couple of years abroad, everything is shiny and new and you're distracted. Almost drunk off distraction, and sometimes quite literally, depending on how much of that French wine you consume. But that aside, there are just so many aspects of living in France that I'll be forever grateful for. And that goes well beyond the wine and the cheese and all of that. Beyond the healthcare and those sorts of things, I'm most grateful for the struggle and for France teaching me that I'm stronger than I think. And that's not necessarily what I thought I'd be the most grateful for, but language challenges, culture frustrations, life challenges, they come at you hard and fast. And when those challenges feel overwhelming, which they often do for me, we turn to our support system and we hope that they'll get you through. And you guys have really helped me on that front. I can't emphasize that enough. And sure, I guess I could have learned a lot of these lessons back at home in the US, but I don't think they would have meant as much to me. I guess what I'm saying is when the backdrop is familiar and comfortable, how much can you really grow, But then all that uncomfortable backdrop becomes foreign and that's the norm. That becomes the norm. And I've lost sight of what's different about life in France now, being away for so long. That normal routine abroad for me becomes my normal routine in general. And there's nothing wrong with regular life. And I guess what I'm saying is living abroad is not a constant vacation. Everything is not better in France. It's a real place. Things are different than what you're used to, but you get used to it. And the French way becomes your norm, like it has for me. And you definitely learn to adapt to France and not the other way around. France is not going to adapt to you. And the sooner you learn that, the better off you'll be. And I feel like any way you look at it, life abroad becomes real life after a while. As time goes on, we start to miss people, people miss us, we miss things, you lose some along the way, but you also gain so much. And something I love is how I'm reminded of all the special things about living abroad in France when someone from home visits. So in fact, right before the pandemic hit, my parents, aunt, uncle, and cousin visited in 2019, and we had a fabulous time in Provence. Tom and I played tour guide, and I loved showing them France for the first time, my aunt, uncle, and cousin, and seeing it again through their eyes, and just appreciating that newness once again, and reminding myself of what it was like in the early days through them, discovering what they were discovering in real time. And I love that. You know, everything becomes new to me again. And my memories from the early years here, they came flooding back. And yeah, their comments and observations, they remind me of the differences back home that maybe I've forgotten about. And I kind of catch myself sometimes remembering my old life, but that's a good thing. And I really can't help but smile thinking about that, thinking about how things are different, how far I've come over the past 10 years. And it's really incredible to watch those two worlds collide. And when people from home are treated to a glimpse of life in France, you know, they notice the cultural differences right away, since they're hard to miss, you know, the volets on windows, the store hours, the way desserts are packaged at the bakery with the little bag flip, the bread drawer, the electric kettle. Their visits help remind me what dazzled me and what frustrated me back in the day when I first arrived, and really what made me scratch my head and also what made me smile. So I love when people from home visit. When they say something that needs an explanation, I catch myself kind of explaining why seemingly annoying things about France are the way they are, almost in defense of France. You know, life is different here and it's become my norm, right? But seeing people take in that French energy and vibe around them, it's really a treat to see. And I love when I see people from home acclimating to the place I call home, because that's what France is to me now. It's home. And home is comfortable. It's become normal. It's become fun, routine, a place to escape from sometimes, and a place to escape too if you're coming on vacation. It's everything. And France has become real life for me a little over time. So yes, I live abroad in France, but you know what? These days, I change the phrasing. I just tell people I live in France. I don't need to say I live abroad in France. I just live in France. It's my home. And at some point, living abroad dissolves into just living. And France really is a wonderful place to do it. I can't say that enough. With that, I'd love to hear from you below in the comments. If you live abroad, or maybe you've made a big life change somewhere, even within your own country, when it's become regular life for you. And I don't mean when it's become boring and routine, but I mean when you felt normal, when you felt settled. Was it after 6 months, 2 years, 10 years? And let me know if you can relate to anything I've said here as well. As always, if you enjoy this type of content, I'd love for you to let me know. Hit the thumbs up and hit that subscribe button right there if you haven't already. That would mean a lot to me. With that, thank you so much for being here. I'll see you back here on We in France soon. Salut!